What was the hardest part of being the head of the Justice Department, Attorney General of the United States, having oversight of the FBI?
Well, we were very concerned that we not be hit again after 9/11. And so we put a lot of stuff in motion. We wanted to put noise in the system. And you wanted the word on the street to be, this would be the wrong time for a follow-up. I think that was the time when things were most difficult.
You know, in retrospect, people have second-guessed a lot of the decisions then and even to this day.
Yeah, fortunately, most of the courts have upheld what was done. But there are two authorities. The president has very broad authority when the nation is at risk, his commander-in-chief authority. Then there are also authorities that come from statutes. And whenever the president can act on the basis of a statute, he has a kind of comfort in doing so that he wouldn't have when he was just acting based on his judgment of what the Constitution allows and what he's required by his duty to defend the country is.
Are you troubled when you see some of the things happening today in the Department of Justice, FBI, the use of what was basically a cooked-up dossier to get a FISA warrant, the possible planting of FBI sources inside a presidential campaign? These are troubling things for me.
They should be troubling for everyone. When a defensive system like the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act becomes weaponized as not just a way of defending the country, but of persecuting or providing ammunition for a political campaign, that's a very serious charge. Now, if that's happened, and there's a lot of evidence and there's a lot of argument that says that there were people involved in the Justice Department who wanted to use mechanisms designed to protect the country and its freedom in ways that would undermine the country and its freedom. That's a very serious thing.
How comfortable are you with appointment of special counsel like we have with Bob Mueller? We had it with Ken Starr earlier in the Clinton era. Is that a good thing? Is it necessary? Or should we allow these investigations to happen within the normal flow of our Department of Justice?
Well, there are rule of law regulations in the Justice Department that could provide for these investigations to take place. And I always thought, you know, to confess that we can't find an independent, capable person in the department to do an objective job of investigating, we have to go outside to get it done, was something that was not very pleasing to me. So I think the Attorney General, in recusing himself, had to do it, I think, in accordance with Justice Department rules and regulations. But, we would have been in a lot better shape if we'd had earlier recusals in prior administrations. Not that we take it outside the Justice Department, but for instance, Attorney General Lynch, after meeting on the tarmac with Bill Clinton, she didn't recuse herself. She said that we're just going to have the head of the FBI, which is an investigative agency, make recommendations about a discretionary function, which is whether or not to prosecute. And that has turned out to be a disastrous calamity of events, which hasn't really served anyone well. And if we'd have followed the strict order, regular order of the rule of law, I think all the parties involved would have been much better off.
You've had a storied career throughout, not just in Missouri, state auditor, then Attorney General, Governor, United States Senator, U.S. Attorney General. Now you have a son who's Secretary of State of this great state of Missouri. Do you recommend to your own family, yes, get into public service, or has it become so very challenging, difficult, and mean-spirited that it's hard to encourage people to do it?
Well, you know, you ought to know. You've got a daughter who's probably, as I said, she's one of the strongest people who has a clear view of what she should and shouldn't do, and she's stronger than 10 acres of garlic. I mean, she is. And that's a reason to urge your children to go into politics, not a reason to deflect them from this. We need the very best people we have with the deepest commitment to fundamental values in this culture, to be unafraid and to walk in and say, we are here to render the service we can to the best of our ability. So yes, your daughter should be in politics and my son should be in politics. They are people who are devoted to the right values. They have the right intense commitment to doing things with integrity. And we need to urge them not to avoid politics because of the difficulties involved in it. They need to be in there, and they need to draw other people into that same set of opportunities, because we need a restoration of the right values in American culture.
Thank you. It has been an honor. Always a pleasure to be with you, and I'm so proud of your son. You've been kind to say something about my daughter, but your son, Jay, is doing a remarkable job in election oversight in the state of Missouri. Thanks for joining me.
God bless you. Thank you.